right now.
Awesome.
Yeah. That day
Yeah, I
I
did
did
it
you, it's all
great.
gotten better since then. So
I
yeah.
went there yesterday and it was so nice. I'm ready.
Okay. All right. I would like to call the Albany Conservation Commission meeting to order at 6:30 on Tuesday, February 6th, 2024. Would like to start with approval of the minutes from January 2nd.
Can I interrupt?
Yeah.
Before we do that? Tim Nolan, can we?
He's
have
on a
Tim
time
go
frame?
First? Yeah, a little
Yep,
bit of a
okay,
time frame,
because
so-
I had him at the top, so, but
All right.
after
Go ahead and do the
at minutes,
and all
no,
that.
it's, sure, if you wanna jump in, that
No,
that
go
works
ahead,
for
do
me.
your regular stuff first.
All right.
I didn't know.
Just
if there was-
approval of the minutes and
Yeah.
then right to you. I try not to keep appointment people waiting.
Thank you.
Any comments? I would like to bring forth the minutes from the last meeting. Do I have a motion to,
I'll make a
View
motion
them.
to approve the minutes.
okay?
I'll second it.
Okay, Mike, Kevin? Are there any discussions or comments on those?
No.
They looked good to me too. So that being said, I'll take a vote. All those in favor of approving the minutes of January 2nd signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Unanimous vote?
Aye.
Aye. Minutes are approved. All right, Mr. Nolan, you have the floor.
Thank you. I just wanted to come in and give you guys an update as to how the timber sale down here on Bald Hill Road was progressing. And they got going in earnest the beginning of last week, and everything's gone well so far. I brought with me the first timber payment. I got it today, so I have a payment summary and a check for the town. They will probably wrap it up in a couple of weeks. There is one area we had, at the beginning of this, I had a map with the approximate areas that we were doing the clear cut. And once I was out there looking at an area we'd planned on thinning adjacent to one of the clear cuts, it just, there was nothing in it worth saving. And so Sean and Kevin came out, was it last Thursday or Friday? And we took a look at the area, and I've got a sketch map here showing the area that I'm recommending that we expand one of the clear cuts into. It's another about 2.5 acres on the side of one of them that runs over the boundary, and I thought there'd be enough decent material left in it that we could go through and pick out the dead oak and not just have garbage, but there's not.
Okay,
And so within these cuts, this edge here and this edge here, don't think we're gonna quite make it to the edges. It's just wicked steep and rocky.
okay.
And so this was originally an area that we were gonna try and just thin the dead oak out of, but there's just not, it's not worth it.
Okay,
The oak is really dead, you know, the bark's sloughing off of it when
Alright.
you handle it, and the tops are just breaking when it hits the ground. It's amazing how quickly they died and decomposed. You know, we were looking at the trees and just
Wow.
the logs in the piles are just. Well, I mean, on this first payment, I mean, granted, it was only just the first 2 loads of logs, but even with the stuff being really, you know, dead, it still averaged out to just over $400 a thousand for the oak logs,
Okay.
the grade logs, so that was good. But anyway, before I went and expanded that clear cut, I just wanted to come in and talk with you guys about it and see if you had any thoughts or objections.
And then, I have a question. So then, this is the old map.
Yep, with the roadside area.
So the roadside's no longer.
Yeah, we talked about that, and we would have to go to the state for a basal area variance. I think we can just go through there and try and get the dead oak out of it and leave the hemlock, leave the red maple and beech, and just.
Okay.
It seems like it's more trouble than it's worth for that small roadside area.
So just thin it. instead.
Just to, yeah, we're gonna call it thin it, but just try and get as much of the dead oak as we can get out and leave the aesthetics of the roadside. It would be a lot to have it right next to the road.
And so we don't need the variance if
Don't
you're gonna
need the
just.
variance for that.
And do you think you'd still access the way the original plan showed, or do you think you're gonna do the whole up and around thing, or?
We're gonna find out.
Find out.
We're seeing that we've gone around and they're working on the patch cut that's around across the wet. And they've got that bridge in and, everything pretty well brushed in and looking good. So tomorrow I'll probably see if we can get up to it from there or if we'll have to come down from the landing.
Yeah. And
Was there anything you saw when you walked with them that prevent that from?
No, I mean, I think it looks good, this upper part that Tim was talking about. I think the main thing is it's gonna go up to the property line where there would have been a buffer there, but it's not gonna be any different than this other clear cut that was already planned, and considering, let's see, that's the Thomases on the other side, and they've just done a timber cut, so.
Yeah.
it's
For
kind of
the
a-
exact same reason.
Exactly,
They're
so
cutting their
there's
dead
no-
oak.
No aesthetic issues there or anything, so, and, everything that you guys have done so far looks good out there, it's not, slash everywhere and, it's pretty clean and stuff, so site looks good, so I don't have any issues with it from that sense.
Appreciate you guys going out there and you staying in touch with us and just keeping us up
Yeah, no
to
problem. It
speed on the
worked.
status. Yeah.
It worked really good that they were able to do it on short notice.
Yeah.
We met at lunchtime and just went for a quick walk.
Good. All right. I appreciate the update. Any other questions or?
So
Comments?
just for the notes here, we're
Yes.
taking more or less than
Well, it's
Original.
expanding one of the clear cuts by about 2.5 acres, but on that clear cut from the original area that was marked out, there's gonna be a portion on the, I guess it would be southern edge of it, southwestern. Yeah, the southern edge of it, they're not gonna be able to get
Right,
at,
yeah.
so it won't expand it in fully by that 2.5
Oh, okay,
acres.
okay, so it's just a trade-off kind of.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, I mean, it's gonna be a net positive in terms of area, but
Okay.
it's not going to be a net positive of the whole area we're adding on, because some of the original area that's just too steep and rocky to get into.
Okay, okay,
And that's gonna, by not being able to get down into that steeper, rockier section, it's gonna put a bigger buffer towards where, further down the hill, where there was some of the small world begonia and
okay.
the species of concern that were further down the hill, so we're
Right.
actually gonna have more of a buffer on that area.
Oh, excellent.
Okay.
But no, the landing is great. We hauled 2 loads of gravel from Coleman's to shim up against the edge of the road. Those are deducted. The slip is attached to the pavement there, and that's all deducted from that. And then there was decent material. The logger is responsible for coming back in the spring when the snow melts, because they had to do excavation with snow. So there's gonna be dirt that needs to be smoothed out, but they'll come back in the spring. They're aware that that's part of the deal.
Okay.
And, we can throw some ryegrass on it, get it greened up in the spring, once it's all smoothed up.
So once it's completed, you're still planning to seed it with the birch?
Yep, I've got the birch seed. It's sitting in a cooler in my barn. It's all ordered. I got some for Dan Stepanowskis too. He's got Tin Mountain's going to use some. But yeah, as soon as the job is done, my goal is to do it like just before a snowstorm, so that it gets covered right over and doesn't blow around, because it's so light that it'll blow around on the crust. I want it to stay where I put it. So maybe even during a snowstorm we'll go out and spread it. But no, I've got it all ordered and it's sitting there. And,
Cool.
something like 1.2 million seeds or something like that. Yeah, it's like 315,000 seeds per pound, and we got 4 pounds. So
Wow. Cool. Very
Yeah.
cool.
4 pounds?
which is a shockingly small bag.
Right,
Yeah.
yeah.
You know, I'm
Right.
looking at it and thinking like I'm gonna have to be really judicious with the hands.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah,
and
yeah,
like
right.
just little spritz here and there.
Yeah.
On about 0.5 spread rate or something.
Yeah, exactly.
Jeez.
But I'm gonna go through the and try and hit the areas with the most ground disturbance where I figure it'll have the best chance of catching, and we'll see from there.
Excellent,
Cool.
very cool.
We haven't talked about this at all, I'm just throwing this out there. If we were to wanna make the landing potentially like a trailhead or something, obviously that would be an above and beyond type of thing, but is that something we could talk about, you know,
Oh,
closer to the
absolutely.
spring as opposed to seeding the whole thing and, you
Yeah,
know, bringing
and
it back to
there's
grass?
a good start of it with decent material
Right.
there.
Yeah. We haven't had any discussions about putting trails on that piece of
Right,
property.
it's kind of going around in my head.
Yeah.
And when again did you say you were gonna seed?
You would
This-
seed it in the springtime, like
In the
after it's got to dry out when they're done, and then they're gonna be where they stumped everything, and you know there's snow mixed with it. They tried to make it as neat as you can, but they're gonna have to come in and smooth everything up. So once they get it smooth, my thought was to throw rye on it. Just
The thought
Quick
was to lay out a trail, a potential trail before the seeding, just,
Oh, yeah.
you know, cause how could you
oh,
go in
the
there-
seeding of the tree seeding,
Yeah,
not
yeah,
oh
yeah.
that is
Yeah,
gonna
I
happen in
that
the
as
winter.
well.
Yeah.
No, the tree seeding's gonna happen in the winter. There was seeding of the landing. I
Like
throw-
this winter.
Yeah, like
Okay, yep, yep,
next week, whenever they're done,
Yep.
or a week after, you know, as soon as they're done, I wanna get it down, because the seed would normally be coming down now, so I wanna
Yep.
approximate kind of its
makes
natural,
sense.
yeah.
We need some site visits,
Mm.
boots on the ground, if that's something we want.
The
to consider.
views from the top of that hill
Oh,
are
right.
going to be spectacular, looking, you know, south and east,
Yeah.
down through that clear cut from the highland. They're starting to open up now, and when they get it finished, it's gonna be wild how neat it is. Yeah.
All right, cool.
All right, so there's the first payment. There'll be one Tuesday, Wednesday next week, and then you know a lag time at the end. But I guess we'll just go from there. Yep.
Payment, we talked about that being held in escrow and kind of getting it all at the end. Is that still possible?
You're right. We absolutely did. I rushed home from work and processed
no.
that so I could bring it tonight. I can.
Yeah.
I will take that back with me.
Yeah,
And I tell you what. Here is just so you know what there is.
yeah,
Um,
everything but the check.
Everything but the check. Yeah, that's right. We did talk about that whole bit at the end.
Thank you.
So there is, you know, what would be a payment if there wasn't a check attached.
Okay,
So I-
all right.
With all that. And so yeah, I mean, just the first few loads last week, there's $4,000 already, so it'll add up.
And so for seed spreading, if it might happen next week, we'll just definitely want to have a conversation.
Probably
before.
not next week, or
or-
probably the week after, if I had to guess.
We
but
just want to
soon.
make sure we have the conversation before,
Yep.
and maybe one or two of us are just come out and
Yeah.
flag a little something like not seed here or something. Or
No problem.
we'll figure that out.
We wonder at the rate of the seed, whether it's even worth it. I mean,
Yeah, because I mean, I'm not. This is the goal of this isn't to establish a crop of trees. It's to establish a seed source on the site that you're then going to go forward with. So it's not like we're hoping to have, you know, a forest of this stuff. I'm just looking at trying to get it there because it's one of those species that once it's on the site, you can perpetuate it.
Yeah. Yes. Okay.
So yeah, but definitely you should be thinking about where you might be doing things because you know we talked, you know, potentially maybe from the top of the hill you pick an area that you're going to keep young to keep a view open. So
Yeah.
obviously you wouldn't want to bother doing it there. Yeah.
All right.
All right.
Thank you.
Sounds good.
Well, very good. I'll plan on coming in next month. Should be wrapped up by then. Thank you for reminding me about the escrow. I had forgotten all about that.
Thank you.
And we'll go from there.
All right.
Awesome.
Excellent.
All right. Thank
Thank
you.
you, Tim.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
See you too.
I'm just thinking 4 pounds of seed over 30 acres or whatever the heck, what's the total acreage?
That'd be cut areas though.
Right,
Right.
so if this is 6, so 10,
10,
12
12
acres.
acres.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, it's pretty light,
Yeah.
you know.
Yep.
Even if there's 1 million seeds per pound or something. You know, and the take rate's probably gonna be pretty low. Right. I just can't believe that much seed.
Yeah, those are little seeds.
I didn't, when I used to do it for the Forest Service, used to use a lot of clover, and they used to, because it was expensive.
Yeah.
It's good for deer though.
Yeah. Yeah.
So while we're on the subject, did you gentlemen want to have that discussion about putting trails up there?
I hadn't necessarily talked, it was
Right,
more
yeah,
of like
but-
we have trails on other
Sure,
parcels.
baby
and,
idea.
Yeah, I think part of the reason this one had never had one because it was disconnected and it's like,
Right.
doesn't really connect
Right.
anything,
Yes.
but, now like Tin Mountain has the trail across from the water tank and stuff too, and then obviously all the other stuff they have on their campus, it's an opportunity to kind of connect some things in, especially if stuff's opened up.
Yeah,
Not that you
this would
couldn't
be
have
the
done stuff
time.
before, but if it's open and all you gotta do is maintain it versus having to
Yeah.
cut a bunch of stuff to be able to make a trail. And if there's a view opportunity too, I mean, that couldn't hurt either,
Yeah.
so.
You know, we've had, some of our members and I had conversations with Malcolm and Beth.
okay, yeah,
And it's unofficial, but we may have a permission to make a connector from the existing trail up to there, right along the bottom portion of their property. They've walked it with us, we flagged it, and it just, it's,
yeah, right.
This is with the
not
Thomases.
100, yes,
Yeah.
exactly. So, and that would be ideal, and then there's no need for
Yeah, because
another access with more maintenance and everything. We just do a spur trail out.
Gotcha.
We seem very, very positive, and just a matter of kind of putting something on paper so that it goes to the Mount Washington Trails Association. Everybody knows that the work put in is for a legit trail that, has permissions. They had some concerns about access to a couple of the roads, carriage paths up there that we make them close to. But we talked about putting signs there saying respect, landowner, some sort of indication that we're here by permission and, stay off the private trail, stay on the designated path, something like that.
Right,
Something maybe we could take on.
that would be cool, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
If you could connect all
Well, you
that.
come right from the top, the height of land on the trail across the road there, and just, it goes right along their border. There's a wet area, kind of a low wet area, it just
Yeah.
stays to the right of that. Yeah, and it kind of follows some old skid roads too, so it's pretty easily built. But, well, still talking about it. So.
Yeah.
It's coming up here. You're talking about?
Yeah.
Or coming
No, it would
from?
come from the north.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
where it says legend to
Oh, the
Yeah.
there.
Yeah, so you're
Yeah.
over here someplace. If I'm kind of spun around here,
Yeah.
this is Bald Hill, so
skid-
this is the corner. It hits this corner right
skid
here.
rows in there.
Those are all like.
This is the
horse
closest point
Oh,
to
really?
the
Yeah.
property.
Quite a network
It's
they have out
like
there.
200 or 300 yards.
to the other Albany.
Exactly. It's not a very long distance. It's
Yeah.
kind
So
of shows
just-
it, and it's a high of land in the bottom of their property, people we know.
So just a connector, not like
Exactly.
a network or something.
Right,
Yeah.
no network there, just a spur trail to connect them.
That's a good point.
And then it opens up the opportunity to do a challenging, and interesting trail to a view and all.
I stopped doing that.
Work in progress.
So, yeah, do we want trails here? That's like, number one.
Well,
Well, if it was to, it would seem the highest value would be to connect the other parcel.
Right. And-
Kind of, because by the same token, you're gonna be in the middle of a clear cut. So you kind of aesthetically, it might be iffy unless there was.
Clear cut now.
Right, it's a great time to actually lay out a trail.
Yeah, but it'll also be high maintenance because the old store's
Absolutely,
gone.
oh yeah,
Right.
no, we've been through it many times, for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah.
It's a
So
great
you-
time to put,
So if it's to access the view, and to
Mhm.
connect the other parcel, I think that has merit.
yeah, I think it'd be a big draw, and it adds a little challenge to our trail network instead of, we've known as the beginner trails in the valley, which is great, but, it adds a little bit of challenge. There's a pretty big hill there, pretty steep terrain.
Yeah.
And also, maybe it would be utilized by Tin Mountain in the end if there's a trail network there. Because they're not necessarily seems pro bike on their trails, but they're obviously pro trails. And, it's about to them.
Yeah, they're non-mechanized, I think, right? So skiing,
Yeah.
but not biking.
Yeah,
Except
skiing,
for-
snowshoeing is fine,
Right.
no bikes, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right. But in Bear Paw, which is Tin Mountain, correct?
Mhm.
Yeah.
But they do allow bikes at Bear Paw.
Right, that's
Yeah,
what I'm saying.
right.
That's
Yeah, they kind of take it case by case basis, the different properties, like Bear Paw drains well and stuff, so they've,
Yeah.
Yeah.
whereas, some of the stuff up here doesn't always drain, and so, which is fine.
Yeah.
But, I'm all for it personally, I'm always more trails the better, as long as they can be maintained and stuff,
exactly
but,
as long as they're maintained.
but, and like you said, I think the fact that it could connect to our other trails, I think, is a positive, but even if for some reason that didn't work out, there is some interesting terrain here and features, and if there's potential for a view, even if it doesn't turn into a mountain bike network, what you might get like a mile of trail,
Right.
on this, but it would be a nice walking path with a view that, maybe put a bench up there at some point or something like that, just be something we don't have on our
Right.
properties right now. So.
I think it'd be nice that it gets use, that it
Mhm.
gets opened up.
Right, because that's the other thing, it's been sitting there
Yeah.
basically dormant, for the
Right.
last 15 years or
Mhm.
whatever, so.
All right, oh, that's great. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I support all that too. And then I think about not just, hiking, mountain biking,
Mhm.
skiing, all the uses that, so these are considerations for thinking about it.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing that when I first got on the board here, thinking about this property was the green burial thing, and that's still tickling my mind about
Okay,
maybe there's
yep,
the reason before to not do it was it's really bony and there's no trails, and it's like a
Yes.
huge expense.
okay.
If we're going to be doing trails, then it makes you think maybe that's something to consider. Maybe not.
Yeah, I like that thought,
It's a thought,
right.
something to consider.
Mhm. All right.
Albany Town Forest Cemetery. Not really. It is morbid. It's not. We're all going there someplace
Right, yeah.
at
No.
some point.
Having been on the cemetery committee, I had never heard of such a thing until I went to one of their workshops and
Yeah.
where you can become a tree and,
Yeah.
all those kind of good things.
And they often go hand in hand with donations as well.
Mhm.
So you say like,
Yeah.
were this to be like, well, if you're gonna have someone buried, there would be
Yeah.
a cost that then goes to perpetuating the
Mhm.
maintenance and all that stuff.
All right.
Things to think about.
Mhm. So the other little piece of new business, I was approached about possible beekeeping out in the field where the farmers are. We have a person that asked if he could put 3 or 4 hives out there. He has spoken to Jake about Jake Davis about that, and Jake, of course, was all for it. Bees to pollinate the vegetables and things out there. He does want to put up an electric fence because of the bears, of course. So I am bringing it to the Conservation Commission for discussion, see how we feel about that, and then to our partners to see if that is a acceptable thing to add to our farmers and to the land use out there.
Seems like it's an agricultural use. I mean, I think it would be compatible. We probably want clarification, but it seemed, and like you
Of
said,
land.
it's pollinating.
It's
Right.
a benefit to the farmers.
Okay.
I
Yeah.
assume.
Yeah.
Right.
So I would think it's probably a non-issue. I think my only concern, depending on the location of it, would be, is there any type of a safety aspect? I have run into that like on other trail systems before, where like there are a farm, especially at UNH is the one I can think of,
Okay.
where there was a dense trail network around one of the farms down there, and there was a section for beekeeping, and it wasn't always clear that, are you allowed to go over there or not?
Right, right, yeah.
Maybe if stuff's fenced off, it's a little you got a
Okay.
buffer built in there. So that'd the only thing I would worry about is maybe a little bit of a safety concern.
Okay.
But I'd be all for it, depending on the location and stuff.
All right. We'll see if we can get some more details. But I was asked if I would bring the idea to the board, and I said that I would. So that was the only new point I had on my agenda.
Just going back to trails,
Mm-hmm.
since Tim's talking about, potentially seeding with the black birch in a few weeks, Mike, I'm mostly looking at you here, about walking and kind of preliminary, is that something that is, I know you're busy with work and everything.
Yeah. I have to look at my calendar. I think I could walk around Saturday. I'm pretty sure I'm gone the following 2 weekends after that. So,
Yeah,
it still gets dark pretty early, so you can't really do it after work.
yeah.
But yeah, I'd be totally down with walking around there. Like I said, I am available, I'm pretty sure, this Saturday.
Saturday.
Yeah. I know the next
I don't,
weekend's-
honestly, I don't know if it'd be worth it.
That's kind of my thinking is,
Yeah,
you know,
because you're talking at the density of the seed rate, it's,
Right.
it's, you're talking a minimal
Just
amount.
don't worry about the seeding.
Yeah,
yeah, just, I mean, seed it, but whatever impact you by trail is not, I think we're probably talking a hand-built trail versus a machine-built trail,
Exactly.
realistically. I mean, even if you were to do a machine-built trail, you're talking about a ribbon
Yeah.
through it as opposed to,
Yeah.
like a road or something where it's gonna be 20 feet wide, so.
yeah, and besides that, you'd be able to identify the ground better.
Well, that's-
Something drive, that's
Yeah,
always
it's pretty hard to identify wet areas right
Yeah.
now, for sure.
Yeah. Okay, then don't. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, then so we don't need to do it this
Yeah,
Saturday.
and if your thoughts are to walk around there and identify where we could lay a trail and room for, green burial, how much space does that take?
Yeah.
Yeah, we certainly could walk around there and,
Yeah,
identify some areas.
But it doesn't have to be the pressure of this Saturday. We're not-
No,
we're not-
I, to his point, I think
So-
the seeds are
trees.
just a preliminary to
Yeah.
get that species going
Processing
there.
it.
Okay.
That's what it looks like.
Which I didn't realize, I thought
Yeah.
the same
It
as,
was the take.
yeah, you wouldn't wanna go in and kill the plants he's planting, but that's not the gist of it I'm getting.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, any other new business someone wants to bring up?
I just had one question. We talked about the no trailers down in the field, but I swear there's a trailer down there now. Is that the club trailer? Okay, so they actually didn't follow through and get it out this winter.
No.
Okay, I was just-
The airplane
Yeah.
club?
yeah, I didn't know if that was their trailer or some,
Okay,
but I thought we had gone through that.
Right, yeah, how it had to
Gone
be.
This winter, it was just something I
Okay.
randomly noticed this weekend.
Thank you for noticing.
any discussion under any kind of old business that you'd like to bring up? I think we're pretty,
I never did identify where the cutting happens.
oh,
That email
yes,
was over, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
right, yeah.
Unfortunately, we got dumped on snow for like
Yeah, right,
3 things in a row right
Yeah.
after
Yeah.
that happened.
Yeah.
I went in there once and then it snowed a ton. I was
mhm.
It's kind of bizarre.
We should have asked Tim.
Hey,
to-
Tim, yeah, if he
did it
addressed
for us,
that.
yeah.
yeah.
He
He
was
was-
the one that
he-
got the call.
Yeah, he was asked if he could, yeah.
I actually think it's the same individual that one of my friends ran into. And he was out there cutting roots, and
Oh,
my friend confronted him and said, "Do you know there's a commission?" And he was pretty blatant that he was going to do it anyways because they were a safety hazard. So this may have been a good thing in the end.
yeah,
I haven't seen his vehicle there anymore.
okay,
After that happened. And,
He was cutting roots.
yeah, he was cutting roots or whatever out of trail.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It just struck my friend funny that he'd just be
Right,
out
yes.
there randomly doing it. So
Yeah.
he said something to him, and
Yeah.
he didn't get very far. The guy just basically said I was going to do it anyways.
mhm,
So maybe now the sheriff has confronted him
right,
to
yeah.
engage with us.
Yeah, that was so bizarre, that whole part, phone call and, yeah. Yeah, but, fortunately Kelly and Steve were able to handle that.
Yeah.
One kind of related to old business thing, kind of, I guess, under the heading of our own entrance, is that there is a push to redesign the Saco Ranger Station property. So
Okay.
there's probably going to be a survey contracted this summer, and they're going to start looking at site plan design and everything for probably new buildings and parking and reconfiguring the whole site.
Interesting.
You know, it's one of those, we don't have a legal access, and obviously the Forest Service has been friendly with us, allowing us to use it. I will kind of keep my thumb on it and stuff, but you know, if a site redesign involves not having access up to the back, you know,
Right, yeah.
that might be, you know, if it's a matter of positioning buildings or parking or whatever, you know, that could come into play. So like I said, I'll be able to keep my finger on it and everything, but I just want to
Okay.
let everybody know that's kind of in the works.
Okay, interesting.
So.
Okay, thank you.
I have a question related. Is the new chief of the station,
Oh yeah, Jim Innes.
Jimenez?
Yep.
You'd said at some point in the past you had said that he was going to work to start getting MOUs for these kind of quasi agreements that are out there, ours being one of them. Did that ever?
Yeah, I don't think that's ever gonna happen with us because the forest. I can bring it up again. You know, it's definitely a something they want to clean up,
Yeah.
but they also don't want to like give away rights that you know they don't have to type of thing.
Right.
So. Maybe like they could do an MOU, you know, that basically has terms that says we can revoke this at any time we want.
Yeah.
You know, but it is a good point because there could be stuff put in there about maintenance. You know, what's allowed to be done.
Yeah.
You know, whether it's tree trimming or bringing in gravel, that type of thing. So, yeah, I could bring that up again. That's a good point. That's kind of fallen off my radar there. So.
All right. Any other points for discussion tonight? Okay.
Did you get enough feedback on the report? I guess you already submitted it, Kelly, or didn't need it, right? Never mind.
I totally missed it on
It's
my
done.
radar. I
Yeah.
apologize. Yeah, thank you.
Hope you guys like it.
Yes.
Okay, just a couple of minor things there. So.
Yes, thank you.
It's gone to the
Thank
printer,
you. Yes, thank you for you two
we think.
for viewing that and getting us up to speed. Appreciate it. Well, there's no public comment. I guess the only thing I wanted to mention is tomorrow is the budget hearing,
Yeah.
and I am gonna go for sure. I'm working till 5, and then 5:30 they're having a selectmen's meeting and the budget hearing, and I will be here to just sit in on that in case anything goes sideways. But you know, we've submitted our budget and put it in there, and then of course town meeting.
It's 5:30 tomorrow night.
Yes. And then town meeting is March the 12th, so we'll have another meeting before that, and then town meeting.
Good.
Okay.
Rob's.
Oh, our little article going on the warrant.
I dropped the ball.
Okay. So is it signature? Is it
I d-
past
I-
deadline?
Yes, the deadline would have been today if we
Well,
needed signatures.
You came to the planning board meeting that I canceled, presumably
Yes.
with the form for
Yes.
someone to sign. Yes.
So, yeah, so I just have to find out if it's really something we needed signatures for. It doesn't seem like, I'm really very vague on that and haven't been able to get a clear answer. So hopefully tomorrow I will.
Well, if it's not going on the thing in the printed form, we can still bring it up on the floor.
Yes.
That's the plan B, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I openly admit I'm
Do you want me to take that and check with Kelly?
If you can, otherwise I will.
I can.
I can, like I said, tomorrow. And then I'm going away next week.
But you're coming in tomorrow.
But I'm coming in for the meeting tomorrow. So,
If you're here, check with her. If
yeah.
it gets past you, pass it to me.
Okay, thank you.
Take it.
Motion Motion to adjourn?
Motion to
Make
adjourn.
a motion to adjourn?
Mike makes a motion. Michael second. All those in favor of adjournment signify by saying aye. Aye, okay. Meeting is adjourned at, got this new watch,